You ever try to tell a story, about something that happened in the past, and it just feels a little stiff, kind of robotic? It's a super common feeling. Well, today we are going to crack the code of the English past tense. We're going to look at a few really simple rules that can totally transform your storytelling and help you sound way more natural, fluent, and just compelling. So, this whole thing kicks off with a challenge from an English professor. She tells her students to picture this. You're the host of a TV show called Success Stories, and your job? Share an inspiring story with the world. Sounds easy enough, right? But here's where it gets tricky. It's one thing to tell a story. It's another to sound like a professional presenter. And that's tough, especially because the English past tense is just loaded with little traps. I mean, even really advanced speakers can get tripped up. And when you get it wrong, a fantastic story can just fall flat. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into the challenge itself. Then, we're going to unlock the secret of those ED sounds. Trust me, this is huge. After that, we'll figure out which tenses to use, go over the professor's own rules for success, and finally, see how it all comes together. Let's do this. Okay, first up, the success story challenge. To really nail this, we have to get what the professor is actually looking for. This isn't just about grammar. Nope, this is about performance. So the mission is pretty clear. First, you've got to pick someone successful who is still alive, and you'll see why that's so important in a bit. Then, you tell their story. The big goal here is to sound natural, to sound fluent, not like you're just reading off a piece of paper. And the kicker? You have to share what their story actually taught you. All right, let's talk about the first major hurdle, pronunciation. Specifically, the secret of those little ED sounds. Look, if you can't say the past tense correctly, it's pretty much impossible to sound natural. This is where so many people get stuck. So here it is, the big secret. Every regular past tense verb is spelled with ed on the end, but that ending can be pronounced in three completely different ways. Getting a handle on these three sounds is, without a doubt, the first big step to sounding totally fluent. So the first sound is a T sound. You use this one when the main verb ends in what's called a voiceless sound. That's just a sound you make without using your vocal cords, just air. Think sounds like P, K, or S. You can really hear this. Listen, stop becomes stopped. Walk becomes walked. Pass turns into passed. And watch becomes watched. Hear that sharp little T at the end? That's it. Okay, next up is the D sound. This one's for verbs that end in a voiced sound. That's a sound where you can actually feel a little vibration in your throat if you touch it. We're talking sounds like L, V, or M. So let's listen to these. Call becomes called. Love becomes loved. Realize turns into realized. And travel becomes traveled. It's a much softer, more resonant sound than that T, isn't it? And last but not least, we've got the easiest rule of them all, the id sound. This is your go-to only when the verb itself already ends in a T or a D sound. And what's cool is that this sound adds a whole extra syllable to the word. Check it out. Want becomes wanted. Need becomes needed. Add becomes added. And graduate becomes graduated. You can really hear that extra syllable, right? Once you get these three rules down, oh man, your pronunciation is going to take a huge leap forward. Okay, so we've got our sounds down, we're sounding good. Now let's talk about actually building the story. Because, pronunciation is only half the fight. We also need the right tools for the job, grammatically speaking. Hey, remember how you had to pick someone who's still alive? Well, this is why that matters so much. To tell their story the right way, you absolutely need to use a mix of two different tenses. The past simple for things that are completely finished, and the present perfect for things that connect their past to right now. So the real key is just knowing which one to use when. It's actually pretty straightforward. You use the past simple for things that are done, over, finished, especially when you know the specific time. He founded SpaceX in 2002. See? Done. But you use the present perfect for life experiences, things that don't have a hard stop date. Like, he has revolutionized space travel. That's something that is still having an impact today. All right, we've got the sounds, we've got the grammar. Now let's get into the professor's own advice for taking your presentation from pretty good to absolutely great. This is all about the delivery. She boils it down to three main rules. First, practice for fluency. You have to know your story inside and out so it just flows. No stumbling. Second, embody the role. Don't just stand there like a statue. act like a real TV host. Use your hands, make eye contact, engage people. And finally, be authentic. Your audience can tell when you're genuinely passionate about something. Let that show.
And the professor really hammers this point home. Good pronunciation isn't just about making the right noises. It's about the rhythm of the language, the intonation, the music of it. You can't just read it flatly. You've got to make those words come alive.
And then she gives this really powerful warning about being authentic. She says some students plagiarize horribly, shamelessly. The message here could not be clearer. This has to be your story, your own thoughts, your own words. That's where the real power is. Okay, time to put it all together. We've got the pronunciation, we've got the grammar, we've got the performance advice. Let's see what this looks like in a real polished example. So let's use Elon Musk as an example. You could start off with the past simple. Elon Musk was born in South Africa. Then you absolutely nail the pronunciation and move to the United States, making sure you use that soft D sound. Then you can switch to the present perfect. He has already achieved so much. When you mix all these things together, what you get is a story that sounds natural, powerful, and just flows beautifully. So let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. If you want to tell an amazing story in the past tense, you need a few things. First, you have to master those 3 ED sounds, T, D, and id. Second, you got to know when to use the past simple versus the present perfect. And finally, and this is maybe the most important, you have to remember that practice is what ties everything together and gives you that true fluency. So there you have it. You've got the tools. You understand the sounds, you understand the grammar, and you know what it takes to deliver a story with confidence. The code has officially been cracked. So the only question left is, what success story are you going to tell?